Welcome back to the Heart of Connection, where we dive deep into the challenges and rewards of building strong, healthy relationships. In today's episode, we're talking about a deeply important subject: building trust in children who have been through trauma, especially in the context of foster and adoptive children. For children who have experienced abandonment, neglect, abuse, or malnutrition, the concept of trust isn't as straightforward as it is for many of us. Trust has been broken from the very beginning of their lives. For them, the world is a place where promises are often broken and love can be fleeting. So how do we begin to rebuild trust with these children? And what does that journey look like? When a child has experienced trauma, the very foundation of trust is shattered. These children, whether in foster care or adopted, have lived through situations that most of us can't even imagine. Abandonment, neglect, abuse, and even malnutrition. These are the early experiences that shape how they view the world. And let me tell you, it's a world that's not easy to trust. When someone has been betrayed, when someone has been told over and over that they are not worthy of love or care, trust becomes something almost invisible. It's not tangible, it's not something you can see or touch, and it's incredibly hard to rebuild. When these children are placed in foster care or adopted, they are being asked to trust again, sometimes for the first time in their lives, and that's a huge, difficult leap for them to take. But here's the truth. Trust is not something that happens overnight. For children with a history of trauma, trust doesn't happen because someone tells them to. It has to be earned, and it has to be built slowly over time through consistent actions and empathy. However, empathy alone isn't enough. Compassion is vital, but it's also important to recognize that trust is something you need to show through behavior. It's not just about saying the right things or offering love. It's about creating an environment that is safe, predictable, and reliable. For children who have been betrayed, there is no guarantee that they will trust the world around them. And for adoptive and foster parents, this can be heartbreaking. So, what does this lack of trust look like in behavior? Well, it's not always obvious. Some children might withdraw into themselves, keeping others at arm's length. They may avoid eye contact, isolate themselves, or even become angry and defensive when approached. This is a protective mechanism. Keeping others away is safer than letting them get close and risk being hurt again. Other children might show more outward signs of fear, like hoarding food. For children who have experienced hunger or neglect, food insecurity can trigger a deep fear of going without. It's not about being greedy, it's about survival. They may grab extra snacks, hide food, or refuse to share because they are terrified of being hungry again. And some children might misread cues or jump to conclusions, especially in new situations. For example, if a caregiver raises their voice, the child might interpret it as a threat, not realizing that the parent is just frustrated, not angry. These kids often overreact to minor triggers, interpreting innocent gestures as signs of abandonment or rejection. And sadly, some children may even run away from home, believing they can't trust anyone. The fear of being abandoned or hurt again leads them to take extreme measures to protect themselves. All of these behaviors, though difficult, are signs that trust is broken. And in many cases, these symptoms can further complicate placement situations. They can lead to misunderstandings and, in some cases, another disruption in the child's life. In this context, building trust is not straightforward. It requires more than just empathy and compassion. It requires knowledge, patience, and intentional action. Adoptive parents need to understand that these behaviors are not personal. They are rooted in the child's history of trauma, and that means patience will be tested, but consistency is key. The first step in rebuilding trust is finding common ground. Even if the child has trouble trusting you at first, try to find something you can both connect over. It might be a favorite activity or something you can share together, something that makes the child feel seen and heard. Once common ground is established, the next step is creating a routine. Trauma often breeds chaos and unpredictability, which are scary for children who have been through difficult experiences. A predictable routine offers stability and reassures them that there are no surprises, no risks of being abandoned or left alone. Now, let's talk about promises. This is a big one. In order to build trust, you must keep your promises. If you say you're going to do something, follow through. Trust is built when promises are kept. It's that simple. And here's the beautiful part. Over time, as you keep your promises, the child can start to make promises too. Maybe it's something small, like promising to do their chores, or something bigger, like promising to be there for a tough conversation. These little exchanges of promises back and forth help create a cycle of reciprocity. It builds trust slowly, but it builds it all the same. Trust is a gradual process, and every step counts. When both parties are practicing this cycle of making and keeping promises, they are laying the groundwork for deeper connection and understanding. The final stage is ongoing communication and teamwork. Over time, as trust is built, parents and children will begin to understand each other's needs and fears. The child may still have moments of regression, but the foundation of trust will have been established. In these moments, both sides can practice empathy, acknowledge the child's feelings, and keep the lines of communication open. In the end, trust in foster and adoptive families doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's a process that involves all parties working together with empathy, compassion, consistency, and a willingness to grow. It's a slow but steady journey, one that requires knowledge, patience, and the daily practice of trust. If you are a foster or adoptive parent, or anyone who is supporting a child who has experienced trauma, remember this. Building trust is not just about telling the child you care. It's about showing them, through your actions, that you can be trusted. And trust, like any relationship, must be nurtured daily. Thank you for joining us on the Heart of Connection today. We hope you found this discussion helpful. And if you're on your own journey of building trust with a child who has experienced trauma, know that it's worth every moment of effort. Until next time, take care, stay patient, and keep building that trust, one step at a time.